It's always the change over the original. Okay? So, if we had, I'm doing problem 36, if we started with $10,000, and then let's see, from January 1996 to 1997, January 1997, okay, let's see. We went from, okay, so how much do we have in 1996, would you say? How much did we have in 1996? Grace, can you read the chart? I think we're supposed to be using that graph there. You said 145? Okay. Was it in thousands of dollars? So, okay. All right, so 145,000? Okay, and then how much did you say we had in 1997?
I just said 180,000.
Okay. So if we use those numbers, then how much change did we have? What was the difference? How much did it change?
35,000.
35,000? And what goes in the bottom? No, these are the two numbers that we're using, okay? These are the two numbers that we're using. So we started with 145,000 at the beginning of whatever our survey was. We ended with 180,000. So what goes in our bottom? 145,000. So basically, we're just going to divide, and that should give us a percentage. About 24%. Now, people are not all going to get the same exact answer because you approximated these, right, Grace?
Yeah.
So somebody else may have read these differently a little bit. I mean, it'll be close, but you got a 24% increase. All right, who else had a question about a homework problem? Is that okay, Grace? That's only for A, but they're all the same. Okay, Anna?
19 or 22.
Okay, I'll just do 19. Find the area and perimeter of the figure determined by the points. So they gave us 3 points. I'm going to go ahead and label them because I may need to identify or talk about them, so it'll be easier this way. So there are my 3 points. Thank you. And we are going to find the area and the perimeter. Okay, we can do that. Let's do perimeter first. How do we find perimeter? We're going to find the distance of each side?
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to take me a while by myself. So let's have some volunteers up here, and let's have somebody find, using my letters, AB, and somebody else can find BC, and somebody else can find, what's missing, AC. Okay? Can I have some volunteers up here to do this, get this more quickly accomplished? Yep, just grab a marker, let's go. Quickly, quickly. Here's another marker. The green ones don't work very well. The black ones, they show up better on the video.
I mean, yesterday's didn't count, so we only have one.
All right, so if everybody's paying attention here, going over these, I'm going to turn back yesterday's quizzes too. These were out of 6 points, but you could have gotten 8.
Yesterday?
No, we didn't.
Did not? Not bad.
Still have it.
Never mind. Just, you know.
Sorry.
I'm having a bad day already. Guess I never out of 10. 41 for 2 and square root of 82.
Yeah, there she is, this boy.
I didn't do 22. I didn't know. What did you do for 22?
Okay, so we got our lengths up here. Now, I haven't done this, so I'm trusting them. Do you think they did these right, or do those match? Those of you that did this, do those match up? So our perimeter is simply going to be the sum of those, right? So root 41 plus root 41 plus root 82, which would be 2 root 41s plus root 82. Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, area is a little bit trickier. There are lots of ways. One of the cool things about Precal is we're going to learn about 6 or 8 different ways of finding the area of a triangle. But right now, at this moment in time, you only know one way of finding the area of the triangle. And what is that? 1/2 base times height. And in order to have 1/2 base times height, you have to have a perpendicular relationship, right? Base and height are perpendicular to each other. Luckily for us, now I didn't draw it that way because I just drew a random generic triangle. But luckily for us, if we have sides of root 41, and root 82, let's see, AC was the root 82. If we have sides like this, what's this squared? 41. 41, adding up to equal 82. This is a right angle right here. It didn't look like, I didn't draw it that way, but that's a right angle. So if I drew this problem to scale, or more accurately, it would look like this. This is a root 41, this is a root 41, and this is a root 82. So if I wanted the area of that triangle, I can use this as the base, this as the height, and just do 1/2 base times height. Now, let's be clear. If that weren't a right angle, we'd have some trouble. I'd have to show you some other techniques. But it is a right angle, so we're good. So area equals 1/2 root 41 times root 41. 1/2 base times height. Well, what's root 41 times root 41?
41.
So the answer is 41/2 for the area. Okay? All right, let's do one more homework problem before we move on to something else. Who's got another question about homework? Anybody else? Yes, Yana. 11. Says find the distance. Now, these are not ordered pairs, Deanna. This is like you have a number line, and we want to find the distance between these two things on the number line. Negative 9.3 and 10.6. So here's my number line. I want to know how far apart these are. How do I do that? Well, I could count, but there's decimals and things. That would be not fun. So what else should I do? Just subtract, yeah. So it's going to be 10.6 minus negative 9.3. I went ahead and put it in absolute value. You don't have to. The idea is we could subtract in either order. It doesn't matter which order you subtract in. You can subtract either way and come up with the distance between those. So what is it, about 19.9? All right. So we're not really using a distance formula there, although you could, I guess, if you wanted to just think of them like this. You could use your distance formula then. All right, I gave your quizzes back. We went over these yesterday. Anybody still have a question about one of those? Anybody have a question? All right, then let's look, if you would, on page 20, at the bottom of page 28.
Text Kirsty.
I didn't you take calculus? She sent a mass email.
I would.
What?
You don't have a book, you you need to take a picture of somebody so that you can work along with us here. So we're looking at these quick review exercises down at the bottom of page 28. Could you just jot down number 1 for me real quick, and let's make sure everybody's clear on collecting like terms. It shouldn't take very long. You should be able to do this. We're looking at the gold box at the bottom of page 28. Take a picture of somebody if you need it. Collecting like terms, pretty easy. I think you can do it. Somebody shout out an answer when you feel confident that you got it. Shout that out again.
4x plus 5y plus 9.
What do you think about that? 4x plus 5y plus 9, you said? Yep. How's that sound? I don't remember what color they were. No, these were the big boxes. All right, thanks, Jerry.
Of course.
Okay, Brandon, so are you in this class now? Is this what this means?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, everybody okay with that answer? 4x plus 5y plus 9? All right, what about number 3? Would you do number 3 for me real quick? Just jot it down real quick. Shout out an answer when you get it. Make sure everybody's clear on this before we look at the harder ones. Anybody have an answer yet?
3x plus 2y.
3x plus 2y. Easy. Easy. All right, let's look at the next ones now. This first one's pretty easy. We're adding these fractions. So that's what this next section's all about, adding rational numbers or adding rational expressions. What's the rule for adding or subtracting? Gotta have a common denominator. These two do, so what's the answer? 5 over y? Perfect. What are you going to do here, though, kids? You're going to have to make a common denominator, and your common denominator will be y minus 1 times y minus 2. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So that means that you have to make both fractions have that denominator. So this one already has a y minus 1. So he would need the y minus 2 part, right? And this one has the y minus 2, so he needs the y minus 1 part. So now what's my numerator? Now both my denominators match. That was the point. That's what you said. You were right. Both of them match now. So what's my numerator? Y minus 2 plus 3y minus 3. So somebody already added that together and said the answer is 4y minus 5 over our denominator. Are you pretty good with that? Well, maybe we don't need to do all of these. Let's look at this one just to make sure. How do I handle this? I remember this is really a fraction also. So now what's my common denominator? If these are my two denominators, my common denominator would be x. So this one needs an x. This one already has it. So what's my numerator going to be? 2x plus 1. Very, very good. We don't need to do the rest of them. You guys got this figured out. Good job. right, so what do we need to do? Let's see. Let's take a look at problem number 1 on page 29. Do you have an idea how you would even go about answering this question? Okay, there are a couple of different ideas I hear out there, and that's one of the glorious things about math, always more than one way to do it. Someone is suggesting that we bring the 3 over, and I think then you're thinking about solving the equation. So one strategy would be to just solve the equation and see what you get if it matches up with any of those. What would be another strategy? Maybe if you didn't know how to solve that equation, what would be another strategy, Lane? Exactly. We could just, for example, plug in -3. And if it's a solution, what will happen? You'll get the answer, right? I mean, the equation will work out okay. And then you put in -1/2 and you put in +1/2. Either strategy is perfectly okay. Basically, kids, they have solved the equation for you and they're asking you to check the answers. Some of the answers are going to be okay and some of them aren't. All right, how about number 9? They're not asking you to solve it, they're asking you if the equation is linear. Does anybody know what it means to be a linear equation? It graphs as a line. That's awesome. Yeah, if it graphs as a line, it's linear. Okay, how can you tell by looking at the equation if it's linear? I mean, you could graph it for sure. Get your calculator out, type it in, and see if it makes a line. But there's a way to tell from the equation if it's linear. Do you know? What about the exponents? What does that mean if it's a 2 or a 3? It's not linear, because if it's linear, what's its exponent? 1, exactly. What's the equation of a line look like, kids? Just a general format. Y equals mx plus b. Are there any squareds in there? Are there any square roots in there? Are there anything funky or weird in there? No, y equals mx plus b. So if your equation can be written in the form y equals mx plus b, it's linear. Can equation number 9 be written that way? No, it is not linear. In fact, anybody know what number 9 looks like when you graph it?
Half parabola.
Who said that? You're very right, but you did the homework already. But yes, it's a half parabola. It's a square root. It's going to look like a half parabola. Good, good, good. How about 24? The reason I singled out 24 is because that second parentheses always bothers some of us. You know what I'm going to caution you about, right? Look at problem 24. What do you have to remember in that second parentheses? You've got to distribute the -4. Please be careful about that. Otherwise, I think you can probably solve that. What would be your strategy in problem 26?
Get the 3 out of the top.
Get the 3 out of the bottom, and how would you accomplish that?
Multiply by both sides.
Multiply everything by
3.
3. And when I say everything, I mean you have to multiply the 2x and the 4. Everything gets times by 3. Very, very good. 39. 39 is called a compound inequality. Just want to make sure you're remembering that in a problem like that, that's written as a compound inequality, this is problem number 29, or 39, I mean. You can either take it apart, because really it says 2 things. It says 2 is less than x plus 6, and x plus 6 is less than 9. You can take it apart and do it as 2 separate problems, or you can subtract 6 from everything and get your answer just in one piece without doing anything fancy or hard. That is perfectly allowed. You do not have to separate it. If it makes sense to you not to. 42. Oh, the only reason I wanted to talk about some of these inequalities at number 42 was there's a special rule about inequalities. Do you remember what that is? What do I have to be careful of in inequalities? If I divide or multiply by a negative, I have to remember to switch the sign, right? I think you all know that, but sometimes we forget about it. Okay, you all right with that? Okay, now we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about lines. You already told me that kind of the basic form of a line is y equals mx plus b. Anybody remember what this is called? Slope intercept form. And it's called slope intercept form because this guy is the slope and this guy is the y-intercept. So if you had a line like y equals 2x plus 3, you could tell me immediately the y-intercept is 3 and the slope is 2. And if you had to graph it then without your calculator, how would you do that, knowing that the y-intercept is 3 and the slope is 2? You would plot a point. Y-intercept means it's on the y-axis, right? So you plot the point 0, 3. That's the y-intercept. And then up to over 1, because slope is always a fraction. Rise over run, y over x. And you could do that as many times as you wanted to, and you would have your line. Right? Okay. So what happens, well, you learned in geometry that it takes 2 points to determine a line. So what do you do if all you have is 2 points, like 4, 3, and negative 2, 8? What if that's all you have, and you have to come up with the equation of the line? What do we do? Because any 2 points are going to make a line. So we need to be able to come up with it here. Mr. Strife?
You find the slope first.
And how do I do that?
Is it x1 minus x2, and then over y1 minus y2?
Okay, you're close. Slope is rise over run. Rise over run. So what goes on the top if it's rise over run? Y goes on the top. So here we go. Y is going to go on the top. So Tom, you're right. We're going to subtract. So I can take 8 minus 3. And if I do 8 minus 3, then I have to do negative 2 minus 4. So my slope is negative 5/6. Does it matter that my negative went to the top instead of staying in the bottom? No, put it somewhere, it doesn't matter where. All right, what's next? Anybody remember what I do next, Brandon?
Is it the y minus y1?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. So what would that look like? Y minus 3 equals?
Negative 5/6 times x minus 4.
Okay, he's a man after my own heart because I'm a point slope kind of girl. This is point slope, right? Not slope intercept. You can find the equation of the line any way you want. In the real world, nobody cares. You got to come up with the equation. This is called the point slope form. Does that look familiar to any of you? If I found 2 points laying in the hallway and had to write the equation of a line, this is exactly the way I would do it. Most of our second year algebra teachers emphasize this, and so a lot of you maybe are used to saying 3 equals negative 5/6 times 4 plus b. Do some of you do it that way too? Makes absolutely no difference. We're all going to come up with the same answer. So here we go. Y minus 3 equals negative 5/6x plus 26. Everybody okay with that? So y equals negative 5, 6x plus 26 plus 3. Negative 5, 6x plus 26 plus 18, 6. In order to add these, I need a common denominator. Negative 5, 6x plus 38, 6, which reduces to negative 5, 6x plus 19 thirds. Is all my arithmetic okay? Yeah. There's our answer. I do not want to bore you. Never, never want to bore you. This is a hugely important skill. One of the first things we will do, who are my juniors in here? Okay, one of the first things we'll do when the seniors leave in the spring, and we still have a couple weeks together, juniors, is we'll write the equation of a line tangent to a curve at a given point. We'll write the equation of a line. We'll do this exact skill, but we'll be using calculus in order to find the slope. The slope will be a new thing for us. So what I'm trying to point out is, on the third day of school, we're writing equations of lines, and on the last day of school, we're going to be writing equations of lines. It's a hugely important skill. So I want everybody to do one for me right now on your paper, in your teams, with your group. Take the point 1 comma negative 2, 1 comma negative 2, and 3 comma 5. Everybody's going to write the equation of the line. Everybody's going to get it right. If you need help, ask your partner. Let's write the equation of the line. And Swanson, would you do it on the board for us instead of at your seat? You can bring a friend if you need a friend. You want a friend? Do it over there so it's on video. That way we'll just have something to compare it to. Yep, you sure can. I don't know if everybody does.
How did 7 5 minus 7 minus 2 is? It's 5 minus negative 2, 3 minus 1. I'll have to tell 5 minus negative 2. That's plus, so it's 7. And 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. Well, I'm not done yet. I have to add 5. I'm not hate fractions. What'd you get? God, that's interesting. I added the 5. I got 21, 7 times 3. 3? Yeah. I did 3 and 5, not 1 and negative 2.
Wait, I got
In a minute, I'm going to give you a challenge problem. So I really need you to get this figured out.
I got that too now.
Let me have our equation. Do not leave it in point slope form. Write it in slope intercept form. Y equals. You can use whatever form you want to get the equation.
Did I get it right? We could do that.
Yeah, I got that too.
Sweet.
I got 11 over 2.
We get negative 2.
Yes, I had negative 21 over 2 plus 5. You have to get a common denominator. Did you get 7 over 2, negative 11? What? Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa there.
Sorry, I'm aggressive today because I was late.
I was waiting for you outside. And then Jack came up, but then Aaron and our dad drove by.
I had to park. What happened? There are spots left. So Is she good?
Okay, let's take a look at what the girls got. Are we in agreement?
Yes.
Everybody in agreement? All right, here comes your challenge problem. All right? Let's suppose we have a triangle. And the vertices of our triangle are 1, -2, 3, 5, 7, 1. I want you to find the equation of the median from A. Find the equation of the median from A. What's a median? Okay, it involves the middle. Median is a segment, right? Where does the segment start and end? It's the median from A. So it starts at A, and where does it end?
The center of
The midpoint of BC. So you are finding, here's the midpoint, you're finding the equation of that line. That's what we're talking about when we talk about the median from A. So what's the first thing you're going to have to do? You're going to have to find the midpoint. So you're thinking back to yesterday in our conversation. How do we do midpoint? Don't say it out loud, just do it. Talk among your table. Make sure everybody's got the same midpoint. Keyword, midpoint is average. Everybody getting a midpoint? What's step 2? Gonna have to find the slope. And you're gonna find the slope from point A to the midpoint, right? Are there gonna be fractions involved? No?
You add part of the second.
Midpoint is average, average, average. Don't forget, midpoint, you just add them and divide by 2.
now what do you do?
I think you did it backwards.
I got 5,3 as my midpoint, did you?
Yes.
I got 5/4 as my slope. Did you? Now, once we get our slope, then we're ready to write the equation, right? I got 5/4 x minus 13/4, but I could have made a mistake. That's what we got from there. Who has a question about that? Because then I got an even bigger challenge problem for you in a minute.
Who's on this?
One is that some short minus y.
Are we okay, folks?
Forget the problem formula.
Is that videotape the whole class?
Now, are we ready? No questions. Everybody's got it?
What was the intercept again?
5 4 seconds minus 13 fourths. If I did it right, some people said they agreed. While we're here, let's talk a little bit about, there's another segment in a triangle that you should know. What's the median? The median goes from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. What's an altitude? Well, it's another word for altitude is height. What does it do? It goes from a vertex or from one of the corners of the triangle to what does it do? It doesn't go to the midpoint. The altitude does not go to the midpoint. It can if the triangle's isosceles, for example, but in a random generic triangle, the altitude doesn't go to the midpoint. What does the altitude do? It's perpendicular. Yeah. Now, is the median necessarily perpendicular? No. It can be in special triangles, like isosceles triangles, but the median goes to the midpoint, the altitude is perpendicular. Okay?
So if it was perpendicular, so it would just go like down or like?
Well, mine it kind of looks, because when I draw my triangles, they always end up looking kind of equilateral. But if we had let's say we had this triangle right here, okay? This would be the median, because it's going to the midpoint. This would be the altitude, because it is dropped perpendicular to the side. All right, ready for the second challenge problem? Write the equation of the line tangent to x squared plus y squared equals 25 at the point -3, 4. Write the equation of the line tangent to x squared plus y squared equals 25 at the point -3, 4. Now let's gather our thoughts. Some of you are freaking out because it's like, what is she talking about? What's x squared plus y squared equals 25? Whoa, 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 this is yesterday. We're supposed to know this. That's a circle. Tell me about this circle.
It has the starts with point 0, 0.
Its center is the point 0, 0, the origin, and its radius is 5. So it looks like this. Somewhere on that circle is the point -3, 4. This is the line I'm talking about. You're going to write the equation of that line. It's tangent to the circle at the point that I gave you. Let's just pause for a second so that we can think, and then we'll take some ideas. Start to let everybody think for a moment, and then I'll take your idea. Here's what I need all of you to think about, and then we're going to let Mr. Stark share. But I need all of you to think about, when you write the equation of a line, we've done a couple of examples today. When you write the equation of a line, what do you have to have? Well, you don't necessarily have to have 2 points, but you have to have a means of finding slope. So if you have 2 points, that's good, you can find slope. But you definitely have to have a slope and you have to have a point. If you don't have those 2 things, or have a way of finding those 2 things, we're in trouble. Now, we got the point. The point's good. Now I need a mechanism for finding slope. I need to be able to find the slope. So Stark, what's your thought?
I was thinking that line, the radius from the -3,4 to .00.
This right here?
Yeah. Is
Okay.
that perpendicular to tangent?
Oh, you are amazing! Yes, a radius and a tangent are perpendicular at the point of tangency. Always. Who's your geometry teacher?
Mr. Schroeder.
I'm going to send him an email. He will just be thrilled. No one ever remembers that, Mr. Stark. Good job. A radius and a tangent are perpendicular at the point of tangency. Now, let's think about that for a minute. That's the key to the problem, but now we got to do something with that. Does anybody else have an idea about how that might help me?
Take the opposite slope.
Be careful. You're close.
Opposite negative.
Opposite and negative mean the same thing.
Reciprocal.
Reciprocal. We take the negative reciprocal or the opposite reciprocal. So the first thing we need to do is to find this slope. Can we do that?
Yes.
Yes, because we've got 2 points, right? So we're going to find this slope. So that would be 4 minus 0 over -3 minus 0. I got -4/3 for the slope of the radius. You with me? Okay. Now, what do I do? Because that is not the line I want. I'm not interested in this line. I want this line. So I will use the slope 3/4 because perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. You remember that? So if the slope of the radius was -4/3, the slope of the tangent line is going to be 3/4. Now I'm home free because now I have a slope, I have a point, so I can write the equation of my line. Double check my arithmetic. When you're done, I got y equals 3/4 x plus 25/4, but I might have made a mistake. Wow, good work today, people. I would expect at some point in your future soon, there'll probably be a little quiz too. Have a great day. Oh, shoot. That's still videotaping, I'm sure of it.